Well, hi everyone. Welcome to a very short edition of the Rona Leadership Podcast. I'm going to be doing a lot of these sort of shorter vignettes on things that strike me during the day. Today on TV, at one of the news channels, I heard about this thing in Portland Public Schools where they're having a problem post-COVID with a lot of fights, a lot of mental health issues or angst among students, especially with high school students, and this caused some violence and fights and things like that. So the public school authorities have decided that they're going to do less suspensions, and originally it would be 5 to 10 day suspensions, I believe, of getting students that they thought might have potential for violence against other students out of the school. They've created these rapid response teams of therapists and counselors and teachers, psychologists to hopefully intervene with students that teachers or maybe other students deem maybe threat to them. And then the other side of the equation is all the teachers are going to get anti-bias training so that they're not disproportionately suspending students of color. So I've got a couple problems with this. Number one, the first thing should be student safety. Um, Whether or not you have an inordinate amount of suspensions or not at any given school, at the end of the day, it's all about student safety. If students and or teachers believe that a particular student or maybe even a group of students are potentially causing a threat of violence to a student or teachers or what have you, they need to be removed from that school, period. You could have as many rapid response teams as you can, but you know how that works in government. These teams, how fast are they going to be deployed? What uh, what 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 avenues do they have if they actually deem someone to be a threat, right? So I think you have to remove the threat from the school. That still has to be a tool that they have. If you've consciously decided you're not going to have as many suspensions, well, you've just taken that tool out of your toolkit, right? You don't have that anymore. And the other thing is, my question would be, has this been talked through? And it may well have been, I don't know, with parents to get the PTA associations to get their take on whether or not they think this is a good thing, or would they rather have the threats removed from the school? Because at the end of the day, it's their kids there, so they should have some input. So my question would be, and maybe those of you, especially if you're in the Pacific Northwest and you're hearing this, if you've got an idea of whether or not you as a parent have been included in discussions on creating these rapid response teams or suspensions, then or lack thereof, or cutting back on suspensions, you should let us know here on this podcast. And the other part I have an issue with this whole idea of we have to get all the teachers and give them anti-bias training so that they're not inordinately punishing or suspending people of color, kids of color. To me, that makes no sense. If you are disruptive, if you are a threat, if you are a disciplinary problem, you're out of there. I don't care if you're black or white, green, Klingon, Romulan, whatever you are, you need to get out of there. This whole idea of, well, we have to make sure that we're not racially biased. Well, yeah, that makes no sense because kids will take advantage of that. Kids of color would take advantage of it. If it were against, white kids, if they're, and we have to make sure we're not racially biased against white kids, they take advantage of it. Kids are kids. They're going to take advantage of situations. So, I think that the first priority of any school district when it comes to safety has to be the safety and security of the students and removing the danger element out of there. Um, it was sort of like when I was a cop, in Oakland, and there was an Oakland Review Board, and every year they come out with what I consider a stupid report, where they come out and say, "Well, during 1977, Oakland police arrested X number of people, and 97% of them were black. Well, just because most of the people we ran into on the streets were black, and the majority of the people living in Oakland were black, so obviously the demographics would show that most of the people you're going to arrest are black. In schools, it depends. I don't know the demographic of all the schools in the Portland School District, but I suspect that there are some school districts, just like in every other part of this country, where you have predominantly minority students, right? So therefore, the disciplinary problems are going to be primarily with minority students. It's not biased one way or the other. The only bias you should have as an administrator, school administrator, or as a school teacher is safety. And if you believe that there's somebody in your class or classes that are potentially of uh, disruptive, and they're going to do more than that, they could be a danger, they need to be removed. Then you could use the rapid response teams to go talk to them while they're on suspension and find out what's going on, as opposed to what I'm reading here is they want to cut down on the number of suspensions. And I think there's probably another rationale behind that because it looks better on statistics at the end of the year of how many suspensions. Oh, suspensions have gone down. I guarantee you that's kind of behind it. And it's not because you've actually made the place safer. You've modified the rules so that you don't have as many suspensions, so it looks better. But at the end of the day, have you actually increased security? So that was kind of on my mind today. It just came across the, as they call, the wires, and I just read an article about it, and I know that I think the teachers unions were for this change. Uh, I don't know the rationale. Maybe they don't want to have the responsibility of suspensions, or maybe they actually believe there's racially biased suspensions. I don't know. I just know that safety is number one. And then all this other stuff with rapid response teams and counselors and all that, that's fine. As long as you remove the threat from the school, you can address that. And I actually think that is having these rapid response teams of counselors and psychiatrists and stuff like that's great. I think that's a step in the right direction. You got to remove the threat first. So that's what I have. If you've got any comments on that, if you agree or disagree or what have you, just let me know, and be back with some more content later. Bye.